Okay, so I'll be working on these guided notes with you guys. Hopefully you can see and hear everything that you need to. So, let's start with the definition. The Pythagorean Theorem states the square of the length of the hypotenuse is your first blank of a right triangle equals the sum of the squares of the length of the other two legs or sides would also be acceptable. Legs is probably more technical. Okay, the next box says there are two types of scenarios. Hopefully you remember these because we covered them on Tuesday. Scenario 1, this is the easier type where both legs are given and you are asked to solve for the hypotenuse. Scenario 2, you have one leg and you have the hypotenuse. And you are asked to solve for a leg. Usually on this one you'll end up doing a squared plus b squared, and on this one you'll end up usually doing b squared minus a squared, and then on both of them you take the square root. So those are kind of like two shortcut formulas, but I will continue to work it out the long way so that you don't get confused by seeing different methods. Okay, so we have one example, and I'm telling you this is scenario 1 because you have both legs and you're asked to solve for the hypotenuse. So the formula is written up here for you, and you're asked to identify A, B, and C. Well, if it's scenario 1, you know that A is the first leg and B is the second leg. All that's left for us to do is to square both sides, so do 9 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. So you multiply 9 times 9 is 81, and 12 times 12 is 144, and it equals c squared. And if you add 81 plus 144, you get 225 equals c squared. Take the square root of both sides so that c equals 15. All numbers are integers, so it's what's called a Pythagorean triple. Usually your answer comes out as a decimal, as you'll see on the next one. So what type of scenario is this? Both legs are given, still scenario 1. Okay, let's identify. What is A? A is 7, B is 11, and C is unknown. So let's go ahead and square both of those. Let's do 7 squared plus 11 squared equals c squared. Then we know that 7 times 7 is 49. 11 times 11 is 121, and it equals c squared. Then we're going to add 49 plus 121, and we get 170 equals c squared. We take the square root of both sides, and we get that c equals 13.03. Remember, it is okay for the answer to be a decimal. Totally okay. Alright, let's go ahead and look at this one. Well, we have a leg and we have the hypotenuse. We are missing B, so to speak. So this is going to be scenario 2. We know A is 10. We do not know what B is. C is 14. We're going to go ahead and square A, 10 squared. We don't know what B is, and C squared is 14 squared. 10 squared is 100. B remains variable, and 14 times 14 is 196. Subtract 100 on both sides. That's the additional step that you need on this, so that B squared equals 96. Go ahead and take the square root of both sides so that B equals approximately 9.8 with some rounding in there. So B equals 9.8. And that one is solved. Okay, last page. Let's go ahead and look at this one right here. What type of scenario is this? Well, given a hypotenuse, given a leg, missing a leg, that's scenario 2. A is unknown, B is 5, and c is 7. A squared remains variable, b squared is 5 squared, and c squared is 7 squared. So we'll go ahead and do a squared plus 25 equals 49. Subtract 25 on both sides, so that a squared equals 24. Then we'll take the square root of both sides, and the square root of 24 is 4.898, somewhere in there, approximately rounded. Okay, let's go ahead and look at a couple of word problems. It is very common to see Pythagorean theorem in word problems. Here's the first one we have. Whenever he visits Landbury, Tyler has to drive 36 miles due north from home. Whenever he visits Morristown, he has to drive 77 miles due east from home. How far apart are Landbury and Morristown measured in a straight line? So we'll go ahead and say Landbury is L. We'll say home is H, and Morristown is M. Let's go ahead and start from home. So home is right here, and if you drive due north, we usually represent that on a map as straight up. So that's 77 miles due north to M, and then 36 miles due east is usually to the right, and we'll go to L. So we're trying to find this distance between L and M. So that's actually 36 is what I should have put there. So we're looking at 77 and 36. Really a simple Pythagorean theorem problem. It's scenario 1, just in case you were wondering. Okay, so we'll go ahead and square both of those. So we'll do 77 squared plus 36 squared, and it equals c squared. So I've pre-calculated these beforehand. 77 times 77 is 5,929, and 36 squared is 1,296, leaving c squared as the variable. If you add this and this, you get 7,225. I pre-calculated that. Divide both sides, and c is an even number, not even, it's a whole number, and it's 85, and actually that's the context of miles. So it's 85 miles from one to the other. Okay, let's go ahead and do our last example here, which is Randy takes a 10-inch by 24-inch sheet of paper and cuts from one corner to the other corner diagonally. Now Randy has two identical triangles. What is the perimeter of each triangle? So let's just go ahead and sketch a picture. So if you can picture a piece of paper that used to be a rectangle, and that's 10 and 24, 10 and 24. The only difference between it being put together is that it's been cut in the middle right here, and that represents my cut line. Okay, still, it's scenario 1. We're going to go ahead and do a squared, which is 10. 10 squared plus 24 squared equals c squared. So we'll do 10 times 10 is 100. 24 times 24 is 576. I pre-calculated that. And if you add 100 plus 576, you get 676. And then if you take the square root of both sides, you get that c is equal to 26. But you're actually not done because you're supposed to find the perimeter of each triangle. So actually you need to add 10 plus 24 plus 26. So we'll go ahead and do that. Add all those together and you get, I believe, 60 is the answer I came up with. So let me know if you have any issues with this, and I will say that this assignment is not done until you finish the independent practice, which is on Quizzes. So go to the link that's hyperlinked in the Google Docs, or search for it yourself, and the join code is right here. And it's just a completion grade. I don't need to know how many you got wrong. I can look that up later. I just want to know if you completed it, yes or no. All right, good luck.